All right. Good morning. I do this every time, Jen. I always say good morning, and I'd be willing to bet that a lot of our viewers and podcast listeners aren't doing this in the morning. But it is morning where we are. It's actually not morning where our guest is, and you can see his blank window there. But for those of you watching live, good morning. And for those of you watching or listening in syndication, good whatever time of day it is for you. Welcome to another episode of How I Met Your Mortgage. I'm Adam Smith, your host. I am the owner of Just the Tips Coaching, and with me, as always, not quite always, but close, is one of our other coaches and our marketing director, Jen Weibauer. Good morning, Jen. Um, Yeah, almost. And we do have a really cool guest for you guys today. For those of you watching, you're catching a shot of his living room. And Jen and I will just have to talk about him until he comes back on. He had to let somebody out. I think he said the cleaning people. He was having somebody there cleaning his house. So the guest that we've got for you guys today is a good friend, a great colleague, and really an impressive business person when it comes to this kind of stuff. He is a mortgage broker owner. He is a podcaster himself. He has built a really cool brokerage. And Jen and I actually get to see him from time to time, or at least we used to when we got to travel. And the last time Jen and I got to travel, we were at a conference in Florida, and Dre and his business partner Megan were there. And we got to spend some time together, which was really, really cool. And one of the things that has stuck with me ever since then, and even leading up to it, because obviously people, relationships, they have friction. They do, whether it's your significant other or your kids or your business partner or a colleague or whatever the case may be. There's bound to be friction. That's just how humans are. And I remember prior to that event, maybe even late last year, a year ago ish, Dre and I had some friction. I can't remember what it was about, but neither here nor there. And we kissed and made up. And one of the things that Dre and I talked about when we were face to face in Florida early this year was that there's a group within the group in the mortgage industry that he and I participate in. I can't think of a better way to describe it. And there he is. And one of the things that Dre had said to me that still to this day has really struck a chord with me was that the group had changed. And one of the things that occurred to me right then and there, and Dre and I were talking outside the World Marriott Resort there in Orlando, we were sitting out on the patio, was that, yeah, the group has changed, but that's because people change. We're moving away from mortgages and into coaching. We're moving away from mortgages and into podcasting. We're building businesses. We're doing different things. We change, we develop, we evolve as people. And those relationships, whether it's one-on-one like Dre and I have, changed. And whether it's group relationships like this group that we're discussing, it changes. And I think one of the biggest things, and what I'd really like to talk about today on the podcast, is the evolution of Dre. And because it's been fun to watch, it's been impressive to watch. And when it's somebody that's close to your heart, a good friend, a colleague, watching that kind of personal growth and development, that kind of business growth and development really makes a huge impact. It really, pulls on your heartstrings to see somebody have that kind of success. So, Dre, welcome to the show. Jen and I have been rambling. Yeah, Jen and I have been rambling about you. And for those of you that are watching live or listening in syndication, this is Dre Munar. Dre is the president of Keystone Alliance Mortgage and has a bunch of other things up his sleeve. And Dre, if we can, I'd love to pick your brain even just over the history of the time I've known you, which might be 5 years. But when I met you, you were a mortgage broker. You got wooed away by a big retailer to basically do recruiting for them. The retail industry obviously is what it is. We're not here to have a broker versus banker debate. And you went back into your brokerage business, back into originating loans, then into building a team. Then you've built this incredible operation that is Keystone Alliance Mortgage, you and Megan. And obviously you guys are delving into other things. So yeah, give us kind of the history of, the morphing of Drake, because Jen and I have watched a lot of it and it's been fun for us. You got to have attention to detail, you got to have customer service. Yeah.
Why am I working for somebody when, and this was back in 2003, where basically at the time, if you were a loan officer, you were basically just an order taker, right? And so I'm sorry, 2007. And it was right before the crash. So I went off on my own, became a loan officer. And then I decided at some point in time, I decided that I needed to do more business than just like 3 to 5 loans. And then it fell into doing mortgages and more mortgages. And in 2014, I realized that I ended up falling in love. There was a goal to do more loans because it was more money, obviously, and that's at the time what I wanted. And then I hired an assistant and I realized that I really felt in people. And it was just, I took this kid who worked at Ace Hardware, and he was working for like $12 an hour. And he kind of did the same thing. He's like, I know nothing about mortgages, but I'll take a shot at coming on board with you. And I just watched him grow and develop. And I really started falling in love with that aspect of it. Then again, and decided that, hey, even though we're on 2 sides of the state, why don't we join together, cut down some expenses? And Megan, she is by far the most incredible human to me. And I'm so lucky to have her. She's a completely different personality than I am. So we both really meshed well together. So I've been doing mortgages together for a while. Like you said, we got wooed away to this other company together. We thought, for us, we were like, the year before we got wooed away, we had done almost 600 loans, just her and I. And we thought, there's got to be something more, right? Like, okay, you're doing a lot of loans and that's great, but like what? Like, there's got to be something more that fills us up. And we thought this was it. Recruiting was it. And that didn't work out. So we went back to doing mortgages. And at this point, yeah, we've rebuilt our company. We're about 25 people deep. And now we've built the Collab, which is it's a podcast, and it's about helping other entrepreneurs, get to where they want to be, helping them with social media, helping them with marketing, helping people with really knowing their numbers. People get into business and they don't understand the true essence of running a real business. What's your bottom line dollars? What do you have to do? And yeah, now I'm just here living in Puerto Rico, running a business out of Pennsylvania, doing some podcasts, and yeah, just really loving life.
All right. So there's so much here. I mean, we could probably spend a day, 24 hours of a day, talking about just these fine points. And I do want to let our audience know that I've met Megan. I know her well. We got to spend some time in Miami. I can't remember how long ago that was. It's been
it was actually only like a year.
Really?
It's longer than that because it was before my time.
maybe two.
Okay.
Time goes fast.
And I spent some time with Megan as well in Florida. You guys were there when Jen and I were there for Podfest. And for those of you that are working on your lead gen, that you're looking for a way to have that kind of authenticity, that kind of credibility. If you're interested in podcasting, I certainly recommend Podfest. It was a unique experience, so certainly at the beginning of the pandemic, and the learning opportunities. It's a big conference. There are a dozen breakout sessions going on every hour of every day of the conference. Really fantastic content for those of you. But Megan and I spent a lot of time about her talking about her penning a book. We had sat through one of those breakout sessions. This was not too long after I had finished Just the Tips, maybe a year after it had been published. So yeah, it's been a really neat journey. Actually, I shouldn't say that. It's been really neat to watch your journey, that of you and Megan. But yeah, give us a little bit of background about how the two of you met, formed Keystone Alliance, how that got built up, and what it looks like today.
Yeah, so like I was saying, we just started the Collab, which is a podcast about collaboration. And that's really kind of how Megan and I met. In 2005, Megan and I went to a mastermind in Florida. And we both ended up, that was like the initial conference you could go to. And then after that, you could join some coaching. So Megan and I went to that initial conference, and then we both decided to move forward with coaching. And so that's how Megan and I met. We met through this mastermind group. And then I eventually invited her to the other mastermind group that you know of. And we decided we didn't become business partners right away. We just decided that we would share some tips with each other. We were both brokers. She was doing some things differently. I was doing some things differently. So we were collaborating the whole time without being business partners. And something happened with her business partner, which I'm sure you've heard of. So that business partnership kind of fell. And I said, hey, why don't you come on board? Hang your license at my place. I'll get you through these times. And then you decide what you want to do. You don't have to stay with me. And she was really hesitant about being partners because of what had just happened to her. And after a few months of working together, she decided, I think this is good for me. So let's do the partnership thing. And then once that happened, we just started cranking out loans. And we truly believe that collaboration is the key to success. Whether it doesn't even have to be collaboration with the business partner. It can be collaboration with your friends, collaboration with other people in the industry, collaboration with people outside the industry. And so when Megan and I put our two heads together, because she's a totally different personality than I am, she's this dominant D1 athlete, accountant, and I'm more of like this culture, lovey-dovey type of person. We put our heads together and our business has really exploded. And then like you had said, we went to retail. That didn't work out for us, but then we came back. And that's when Megan and I decided we wanted out of loans a little bit more. And so at this point, we now have, and people ask us how you completely get out of it. In order to do that, you have to hire almost a position for everything, right? So we have an operations manager, we have an assistant operations manager, we have 5 loan partners, we have 3 people who handle everything on the front end. We have a marketing person, we have a marketing assistant, we have 3 virtual marketing assistants for them. We also don't want our team to feel like, well, we're just leaving. We have all the support that they need there from everybody else. And so that's kind of where we're at now, 25 people deep, a bunch of support team members. And I think we have about 8 outside loan officers that we've brought on.
That's amazing. And I want to make sure that our audience picks up on something really important that Dre said. You've basically got to hire to do everything. And so for those of you that are doing it as a one-man shop, and Dre and I have a bunch of friends and colleagues that are, some that have very small teams, maybe they have an assistant, an LOA, maybe they have a processor. Maybe you're a real estate agent and you have an assistant or a TC, or maybe you're just doing it all on your own. And all of these exist and nothing is wrong with any of them. But if you want to get to a point where you could, I don't want to say walk away, but have a business that actually runs without you, rather than a job where you got to get up every day and sweat it out. And you real estate agents know you wake up every day unemployed. Then you've got to hire out for all that stuff. You've got to have a team doing all of the things, all of them that you do every day, every week, every month throughout your career. So when you're starting that process, what we typically recommend is make a list of everything you're doing during the day. Do that for a week. Do that for a month. Then start identifying what other people could be doing on that list and hire people to do it. This is not rocket science by any means, but Dre nailed it right on the head that you basically got to hire for every single task that you do during the day, the week, the month, over the course of your career, assuming you haven't already done this, and then hire someone else to do it. Jen's a great example. She does a lot of our social media. She does a lot of our marketing. She does a lot of our campaign work, so on and so forth. And there was a time, gosh, I don't know, years and years ago now, where I was doing all of that. I was doing all of everything. So yeah, hopefully our audience really picks up on that, Dre, because it's uber important.
Agreed.
And here's what I really want for you guys to understand, because Dre did say it and maybe you guys didn't pick up on it. Dre, where do you live?
I live in Puerto Rico.
You live in Puerto Rico. And where is your business?
Pennsylvania.
So it is possible to basically go live on the beach in that sunny climate and run your business 1,000 miles away.
It is. It is definitely possible. And I mean, I think the other thing that people think of is, or anyways, for me is I've given up some of my income to have that kind of lifestyle, and I'm okay with it, right? Like I know that I have to pay assistants to do my stuff. And so I've taken a small pay cut for that. But I mean, the quality of life I have is not 60 hours at my computer. You know, I may work 40 hours a week, but it's 40 hours on things that I want to work on, whether it's with me and my business partner or me sitting down with operations people. It's not, 60 to 80 hours a week grinding, 1003s, DU, all of that stuff. Kind of like you, Adam.
Yeah. And there was a day when it was like that, absolutely. And I think the evolution of what really went on, at least the first big step for me, and maybe this was for you, is that I didn't want to do anything anymore that didn't either make me a ton of money or I didn't love to do. And eventually you get to a point where you guys could be where Dre is now, and he's really only doing what he loves to do. The money, yeah, it's important. You got to pay your bills. Is it the end all be all? Absolutely not. Would I rather maintain my team? There are about 10 of us and make sure they can pay all their bills as long as I'm able to pay my bills and never be wealthy? Absolutely. The entire motivation of all of it. Doing mortgages, coaching other LOs and real estate agents, running a business. The idea here is to help as many people as you can before you're gone. And if you're given more and more and more of an opportunity to do that, then grab it. Hold on. Take that ride, because that's really where the intrinsic wealth, the real benefit comes from.
My hairs are standing up just as you're saying all that, because it's so true. People chase the money, and it's like, no, chase what makes you happy, chase what fulfills you, chase, helping others, and everything else will work itself out. Like, don't worry about the money piece. Just focus on everybody else, and the rest will work itself out.
Yeah.
So I love that you said that.
I think that's very, very true. That's very Zig Ziglar of us, no question, but it is certainly true. And I'm not going to pull any punches. I could probably take home a similar income in my coaching practice if I dedicated myself to it full time, completely walked away from my mortgage business, shut it down, whatever the case may be. But there are 10 people that have a job there, get paid, pay their bills because I have that business. And the motivation to help them, as well as all the clients, hundreds of them a year that we get to help, I can't fulfill that by focusing 100% on my coaching practice. If I didn't own my mortgage brokerage, I wouldn't have that. So, there's so much more in that intrinsic reward that outweighs the monetary one, I guess, is really the result. And if you embrace that, you probably get the monetary one anyway.
Yep, you nailed it.
Yeah. So Dre, I'm really excited that you're here, and I can't believe it's been so long since we've seen you. Because literally, we Jen and I actually tried to catch and did successfully catch an earlier flight home from Orlando when we saw you, because the world was shutting down at the time. We were certainly concerned about getting a flight.
Getting home.
I think the night before we left, we were sitting watching the national news, and while we were sitting there next to Disney World, they were actually announcing that Disneyland was closing, and Disneyland doesn't close. Prior to the current pandemic, they had closed 2 days in a 70-year history, once for an earthquake and once for 9/11. And when we saw that Disneyland was closing, we knew that shit was real and that we needed to get our asses back to Denver. You and Megan probably felt the same way, although from there it's a pretty short flight to where you live. Megan getting back to Pennsylvania was definitely more of an exercise that way. But there's this entire, holistic perspective that we take at Just the Tips, where the eventual goal is to basically do what Dre has done. For those of you that are watching or listening or participate with us right now, if you're one of our coaching clients, a past client, I see a number of them are already watching us as we go through our live broadcast here. The goal is to run your operation without actually having to run your operation. Dre could probably disappear for days on end, and it just keeps going. Dre could eventually probably disappear for a month, and it just keeps going. And after that time frame, if Dre comes back and tries to interject himself into it, it probably gets screwed up. It probably gets derailed. His team is just so solidified. They're so concrete. They have a grip on what they're doing. It has been so much fun to watch Dre do this that I hope that those of you who don't already know Dre will follow Collab, see what he and Megan are up to. It has been such a cool journey for us to watch, from the sidelines, basically, because it really embraces everything that we would want our coaching clients to pick up, to receive, to develop, to learn, to embrace, to grow with, and to achieve. It's been really, really cool to watch the two of you do this over the last few years. So we are indebted to you as well. So, Dre, what does the future hold, man? What are you guys up to? What are we going to do in 21, 22? Other than, get vaccinated for a coronavirus, apparently.
That's apparently in the future for sure.
Okay.
Let's see. What is the future? So we're working on the collab, and we're really looking to kind of form that community. And we're also working on really just buttoning down Keystone Alliance Mortgage so Megan and I can completely step out and take, 30 days off, 60 days off without people coming to ask us questions. One of the things that we really focus on is empowering our team to make decisions. And so we want to step out to let them make decisions completely, whether it's an operations decision or a systems decision. So we're definitely heavily focusing on that this last quarter, is putting everything into place to make sure that it just runs. But really our big focus right now is the collab. I'll be honest, we're trying to figure out how to monetize it. Right now we're providing the value, we're giving information. And then we haven't 100% figured out how to monetize it. Either we're going to do some type of group, or we're going to do like where we just take people for a few days. It's probably something I want to pick your brain on, because those are kind of two different ways to monetize something. When you coach somebody, you have to be on a regular schedule with them. And that can be tough sometimes as a business owner. What else is in the future? Megan and I are trying to figure out how to invest in some real estate. And on the horizon is we're looking to bring on board some people here to Puerto Rico and kind of build out a Puerto Rico division. I'm absolutely in love with the Puerto Rico, with the people, the culture, and so I want to be a part of this economy. I don't just want to come here, live on the beach, and hang out. I'm kind of want to give back to this island. So that's definitely on the horizon. And the other thing, one of the things that I've really enjoyed saying lately is, like, life's a journey. You know, people keep asking me, when are you leaving Puerto Rico? When are you leaving? I never thought that I would get here. So like, I don't know what'll happen in 5 years. I may end up in Colorado. I may end up in, California. Just kind of living, day by day, month by month, and just figuring out what makes me happy. Because we were talking about it. You were talking about it earlier. People change, we change, things change. We have no idea what the future holds. So, that's kind of where I'm at.
All right. I just want you to know that it's like 7 degrees here today.
It was 3 when I woke up.
All right. So, yeah, and Dre, we know you're a creature of one climate. So, yeah. Memory serves.
I don't know that Colorado is where you want to be.
Memory serves you were cold in Orlando in March. So, yeah, maybe not. But yeah, I do think that that's a very big deal. And because not everybody is catching the video cast, and certainly not everybody catching the Facebook Live, we obviously have a lot of podcast listeners. I want you guys to know that while Jen posted it, it is thecolablife.com, the COLAB life.com. So yeah, that's the spot to go check out what Dre and Megan have been up to, and maybe there's a little insight as to what the future will hold for Dre, Megan, and the Collab Life. But yeah, Dre, we're so excited to see where this is going. We're so excited just to see where it's already gone. Yeah, it's just been mind-boggling to watch this adventure that you and
Adam, are those real palm trees?
No, that's a chroma key. It literally, you don't want me to open that blind, dude. There's 6 inches of snow on the ground, and I had originally thought that I would do this week's show from our cabin in the mountains. It didn't quite snow as quickly as it did here yesterday. But there this morning it was -2 with about a foot of snow. Down here at least it's like 15 degrees and we only got about 6 inches of snow. So yeah, we had a real sketchy drive down out of the mountains yesterday, but well worth it so that we could do this with you today.
Well, thank you for having me.
Oh no, this is believe me, it is our pleasure. So, Dre, give us some highlights, because there are going to be people who need a mortgage in Pennsylvania that want to work for an operation like Keystone Alliance, that want to follow the Collab Life. Give us all the highlights. How can people track you down?
Yeah, so if you're interested in a mortgage in Pennsylvania, you can find us at KeystoneAllianceMortgage.com. We're licensed in a few states, but my specialty is really Pennsylvania. And we're also licensed in Puerto Rico. So if you're looking for a second home in Puerto Rico, definitely reach out. You can also find us at thecolablife.com, which is where you can find our podcast and anything on building a business, whether you're a solopreneur, entrepreneur, wannabe-preneur, or you just want to know about business in general. And then, of course, we have all of our social media tags. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. So definitely make sure to check us out if you're looking for a mortgage or you're looking to build a business.
This is fantastic stuff. Dre, thank you. I know that there were some reshuffles with the schedule to get you onto the show today as well. Jen, thank you for dealing with that. But yeah, Dre, this is really special for us. We love and adore you. We have nothing but mad respect. We've watched this development over the years, and we think this is really cool shit.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, no sweat. All right, and for those of you watching live or in syndication or listening to the podcast, by all means, if you want to see other episodes or listen to other episodes, I should say, or if you want to catch the weekly Little Tip, our video blog that comes out on Mondays, just a quick tip, something you could be doing to help your lead generation along. If you want a copy of my book, Just the Tips, if you want to be a guest on the show, on and on and on, use the text code TIPS. You can send that to 63566, and it'll ping you back all the information on how to get that stuff. Jen, what am I missing? What else do we want to know from Dre before we sign off? I see you telling me that we're running short on time, but if I want to talk to Dre, I'm going to talk to Dre. Sorry.
All right.
I have to get over it.
No, I'm really excited to check out the podcast, Dre. I know you and I talked a lot back in March when it was a whole different world. So I'm excited to check that out for sure. And thank you. Yes, thank you for the schedule shuffle, especially. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And did you guys talk about why we had to shuffle the schedule?
I think yeah.
Okay. Because and I know we just swapped them, and I won't say any names, but the guest that we were supposed to have today, it rhymes with Kai McBride, called me. I was on the road on my way up to the cabin on Friday, and he says, I'm a Dodger fan. And I said, yeah, I know you're a Dodger fan. And he said, yeah, the Dodgers are playing in the World Series. Yes. And I'm going to go to the game on Sunday, and I'm just concerned about being a little hungover for your show. Can we reschedule it? And I said, I get it, Kai. It's okay. I'm a sports fan. Talk to Jen and tell her I said it was fine. So, yeah, thank you to both of you for getting that ironed out and for being so flexible in the scheduling. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. And to the rest of you, thanks for tuning in. And we will come at you next week with another episode of How I Met Your Mortgage. Jen and Dre, I'm going to run the extra. Don't go anywhere. And we will see you guys next week.